In this video, I'll be going over a couple of options for what are called temporary rate buydowns. Um, Most people that have purchased a home before, and some people that have not, that have done their homework, are familiar with permanent buydowns. That's when you buy down the rate. You can do it using your own capital, or you can do it using a seller concession. Right. So when you do a permanent buy down, when you buy down the interest rate, it stays at that rate for the entire term of the loan. So if you have a 15-year loan, 20-year loan, or 30-year loan, the rate will stay fixed at that rate that you bought it down to on a permanent buy down for the entire term. However, we also have what are called temporary buy downs. And with the temporary buy downs, you can get a greater impact in terms of the movement in the rate because you're doing it for a shorter period of time. And you can do this using seller concessions. So if you're purchasing a property, I gave a couple of examples right here of seller concessions. Say in one scenario, you get 1% of the purchase price, and we're using an $800,000 purchase price. Uh, in another scenario, you get 2%, that's $16,000. In the third scenario, you get 3%, that's $24,000. This will come into play now as we're using the funds to execute the various buy downs. So, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to move over to my mortgage software and show you how I have everything set up. All right. So, now you'll see we have the $800,000 purchase price, 20% down. I'm just doing some very simple numbers, just to show exactly how this works. But this can be applied to a conventional loan, to a FHA loan, just the same, even VA mortgages, right? Because in essence, you're still using a seller concession to bring down your interest rate. Now, what I did is I have this structured based on the market rates that I'm seeing for today using a 700 credit score, conventional financing. So I have this at a 7.5% rate right now. The rates fluctuate up and down. Today, they're a little bit on the higher side as compared to where they were last week. Last week, this would have been probably lower in the sevens or maybe even in the high sixes. So now I also have my buy down calculator from one of our lender partners, UWM. We broker loans through various lenders. UWM just happens to be one of the lenders that we broker our loans through. So I also have everything set up on here to show you, exactly what we're going to do. So I'll go ahead and just start over from the beginning without any buy down on the calculator. All right. So what we're going to do, we're going to start with the 1.0 buy down, and let's see what that's going to take, how much of a concession that will take, and what impact that will have on the payment. So let's go over to the calculator. So we have everything structured and broken down. We're doing this as if there's no escrows also. If you're waiving escrows, waiving tax escrow, waiving insurance escrow. So all you're paying is just principal and interest in this example. So we could just focus in and lock in on the movement in those numbers. Now, buy down type. Let's start with the 1.0 buy down, okay? And then we're going to do it using a seller concession. So right here is showing you this is what you're going to need: $5,156 from the seller, okay? And you see 1% is $8,000, so we're well over that. It would just need to be structured properly on the contract, where the contract states that this amount is specifically for the buy down, for the 1.0 buy down, and then the rest of it can go towards your regular closing costs because you'll still have a surplus above the 5,156. Let's see what impact that has now. Right here, it shows you your note rate payment, okay, which is the 7.5% rate on this $640,000 loan amount for the 30-year term. Your note rate payment is 4474. Your buy down payment is 4,045. Right, so you're going to get this lower rate for 1 year. Okay, so you're going to be saving, let's grab my calculator, 4474. I want you to do it with me so you can really get a good feel for the numbers. It helps instead of just watching. So take 4474.97 and subtract 4045.24, $429.73 per month. Okay, let's go ahead and drop that up here. So you will save 429.73 for 12 months. Total savings, 5156.76. Okay, so this is what it would look like for 12 months. So you're going to use that concession. So as you can see, let's take a look. Let's go back here now. Let's take a look. 5156.76. Why is it matching up so perfectly? What's happening is the lender is just holding this money in a separate account, and every month they're supplementing the mortgage payment because you're not paying this amount monthly, so they're pulling it from this amount. Okay. All right. Let's go to the next one. We're going to now do the 1-1 buy down. This means your interest rate will be lower by 1% in year one and again by 1% in year two. And then after year two, it goes to the 30-year fixed note rate. All right, so now watch how the numbers change. We're going to switch the buy down type from 1-0 to 1-1. Now, you see, we're going to need 2 years of this amount. So now we're going to need a concession of 10,313 to get that done. So we're just barely over 1%. So if you can get a 2% concession, you'll still have plenty of money left over. So now we'll just have to specify, the agent will have to specify on the contract that the seller is giving the buyer credit for 10,313.52 towards the 1-1 buy down. So the agent and the mortgage company would just need to be in communication, and we just have to make sure the language is the way it needs to be to ensure that this concession can go towards the buy down. But don't worry about that. These are things that we can cross the bridge when we get to. If you're working with me, if we're right here in Broward County, you're my client. I'm also a real estate agent. I have my own team. So if I'm handling your mortgage and I have someone from my team handling the real estate side for you, we'll be perfectly in sync so that there won't be any errors that are made when we're going through this process. So now let's take a look at our savings here. So now we're going to save that same amount. So let's do the math again. 4474.97 minus 4045.24. That's 429.73. So 429.73 per month. But this time it's going to be for 24 months. So let's go ahead and grab this. Let's put this down here. All right, let's see. For 24 months. And we're going to double the savings. 5156.76 times 2. So 10,313.52. 10,313.52. All right. So you see, again, we're matching up. So the seller is just holding the money in a separate account and just supplementing that mortgage payment, saving you this amount every month because you're just using the money that you got in the seller concession in order to supplement that mortgage payment every single month. Now, a great question would be, well, Khalil, what happens if after 12 months the rates are so low that I'm ready to refinance now? All right, so now 12 months have gone by and you still have half of this money sitting in that special escrow account that the lender is holding. It doesn't disappear. When you do your refinance, that money will go towards your principal balance to help pay it down. So that's the beauty of it. You don't lose the money. Okay. Let's go and look at the structure now for a 2-1 buy down, where in the 2-1 buy down in year one, you save 2% on the rate. Okay. And in year two, you save 1% on the rate. And in year three, that's when you go back to the 30-year fix. So you're having a bigger drop in year one with the 2-1 buy down. All right. So now let's go ahead and flip it from a 1-1 buy down to a 2-1 buy down. And let's see how our numbers change. So as you can see here now, because we're dealing with a much bigger monthly savings in year one, it's going to require more money. So the total amount, still not even a 2% concession. We're still at 15,250, and a 2% concession is 16,000. So we're still close. And again, I know I keep repeating this, but this is very important. The contract has to specifically state that that portion of the concession is for the 2-1 buy down. Okay. So now here we are where we have the savings of 841.12 per month. 841.12. Let's do it. Let's put it right here. Save 841.12, 12 months. All right. I'm slowing this down because I want to make it to where you can really absorb this. 429.73 for 12 more months. And let's see what our total savings is. So we're going to have 841.12 times 12. That's 10,093.44. Matches up right here. So basically, we could just take this whole number, 15,250.20. Total savings, 15,250. See, 0.20. This is how much you're saving in your mortgage payment over that period of time. And again, you refinance after 12 months, whatever amount of time, whatever is left over in that special escrow account will just go towards your principal balance. So this is how you can temporarily reduce your mortgage payment while you're waiting for the rates to drop, especially where we're in a situation where the Federal Reserve has already come out and advised that unless something out of the ordinary happens, they're going to start cutting rates around May or June of this year. So I'm expecting once they start that process, as long as everything stays stable and we don't have anything else that causes a problem that leads to any further issues as far as inflation or supply chain issues, which can also lead to inflation, we should start to see a move down gradually in interest rates. And this is just a way to buy yourself some time while you're waiting for the rates to get into position to where you can permanently do a rate and term refinance in order to drop that rate permanently. So let's flip over now. Let's go back to our mortgage calculator that I had open, and then we could see it. You could see it in real time play out right here. Okay, so let's go back over here. Let's play with the rates. So let's say we're doing the scenario of the 1.0 buy down, right? I'm going to do it right here. You see at 44.74 a month. So let's drop this to a 6.5% rate. You see the number update, 4,045. Okay. So now on this $800,000 property, instead of you paying 7.5% in year one, you pay 6.5%. All right. In this scenario. All right, now let's go ahead and let's take a look at the 1.1 buy down. Same thing. You just have this payment for 2 years, principal and interest. When your tax bill is due, you pay your tax bill. The great thing, I could speak for Broward. I don't know how it is in other places, but you have until around March the following year, I believe. So you have some time. Tax bill usually comes out in November, and you have a little time to get that tax bill paid. So, if you're somebody that's pretty good at saving and money management, then waiving escrows can work for you, because then now you can just keep your monthly payment low. And then now, instead of the lender saving the money to pay the taxes, you can save the money to pay the taxes. So if you have other things to do with the money throughout the year to make you more money, you can put your money to work rather than it sitting in an escrow account at the lender, and it's not working for you. So that will be the whole point of waiving escrows, is to keep that monthly overhead lower. And then now you can deal with those payments when they come. Also, same thing with the insurance. You can pay it annually, or you can break it out quarterly when you waive it out of your escrow. And you can waive escrows when you put 20% down. All right, let's get back now to this 2.1 buy down, because we know with the 1.1 buy down, this will be your payment for year one and year two. And then now, when you get to year three, if you haven't refinanced by then, which I'm not sure why you wouldn't, with what's being forecasted by the Fed, then you would just pop back up now, and then you'd be back to this 44.74. Now let's say you go with a 2.1 buy down in year one. Now you're going to be looking at a 5.5% rate. So this number right here is going to drop to 36.33 in year one. Okay, and then now in year two, if you haven't refinanced by then, you go to the 6.5, and it'll move up to 40.45. And then now, for some reason, in year three, if you're still in this structure, then you'll be at 44.74. So you have plenty of time to get this figured out. The key will be to see if you can negotiate these concessions in your contract. We are licensed in the state of Florida for the entire state. We can do FHA, VA, conventional loans in Florida, and we can also do it in the state of Georgia. We're licensed in both states as a mortgage company. So this just gives you a really good feel of what you're able to do using temporary buy down. Okay, so this can this can work for any amount. I just chose to use $800,000 purchase price with a $640,000 loan amount, just because I'm in a market, a higher price market. But we can play with these numbers at various purchase prices and loan amounts. If I were to drop this down to $600,000, all right, and then we say, okay, well, I don't want to get into mortgage insurance, so I'm just going to keep using 20% down. So 20% down, that takes me to 480 on the loan amount. And you see the numbers update. You see everything flips now, right? Numbers are all lower. So you got 3356, and then over here it shows you your buy down payment in year one for the two one buy down, 2725, and year two is 3033. So this works for any type of loan. You could go up and go to $1 million. And now we flip this to an $800,000 loan. You see the numbers update. Same thing. Still works out to be about the same as far as the concessions are concerned. And this helps a lot. This helps a lot because you're looking at 5593 versus 4542. That works out to be 1,051 savings in year one. So this works out really, really well. One of the cool things is if you do this with the FHA loan, the seller could pay up to 6% of the purchase price towards concessions. And you can even go with what's called a 3-2-1. So let's say, for example, I went with $650,000 purchase price times 0.965. I'm just going to use the base loan amount. Let's see, I'm going to take this number down some more to get to the Broward and Palm Beach County FHA loan limit. All right, so we just do that. So let's go 617. We'll go 635. 635 times 0.965. Okay, so 612, 775. That's good. I'll roll with that. 612, 775. Okay, so this FHA rates tend to be lower. So let's just bring this down to, let's say, like a 6.875 is our starting point. All right. And then we have some MI, but I'm going to leave the MI out just for the sake of this because I don't want to make it, you know what? I'll just put it in. I'll put it in 0.055. We'll put it in there so it can be a little bit more realistic. And then estimated escrow amount annually, let's say it's about $400 a month, so that's $4,800 for insurance, and let's say $600 a month for taxes. So could be higher, could be lower. So $7,200 plus $4,800. So escrows are $12,000. So put that in there. Okay. So this is an FHA loan that we have structured out right now. And you see now we have not just principal and interest, but we have principal, interest, taxes, insurance, and we have mortgage insurance all lumped together in here. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually do a 3-2-1 buy down. All right, so 3-2-1 buy down will require a concession from the seller of 4.398%. FHA will let you go up to 6% if the seller is willing to pay it. So it just depends on what the situation is with the property and if you have the ability to negotiate. Are you in a multiple offer situation where now you're bidding against other buyers and you're not able to negotiate a seller concession, or are you negotiating one-on-one and you're able to negotiate a seller concession? So if you're in a position where you can negotiate a seller concession, now you have a great situation because you could come in now and you could take this thing and you can really drive this number down, because right here in year one, you're actually going to be at 3% lower on the rate. See, it would have been 6.875, but in year one, you're at 3.875 instead. Now, instead of 5,056, you're at 3,912, saving 1,144 a month for 12 months. And in year two, you're at 4.875, and then you move to this number, you're still saving 782 a month. And in year three, you're at 5.875. And then now you're saving this much, and then it's not until year four that you get to the 6.875. Chances are you would have refinanced this a long time ago. And then with FHA, you could do what's called an FHA streamlined refinance, which typically doesn't require an appraisal and doesn't require a lot of other things. And I'll do FHA streamlined refinance as a completely separate video. And but it's very attractive when you have an FHA loan because then now you're doing a streamlined refi, no appraisal required, um, and it's just a much easier and smoother and streamlined process. So for anyone that's getting an FHA mortgage, and the FHA loan limits are very attractive right now too. Let me actually pull this up. FHA loan limit 2024. See, this is pretty cool because they're now actually um, when you're going into buying a primary residence property and you're actually gonna live in one unit. For example, let's say you're living in one unit and then you're gonna rent out the other units. All right. Let me see. FHA loan limit. Trying to find the. Okay, here we go. HUD.gov. I'm gonna show you something. So now let's go to the state of Florida where I live, and let's go into Broward. Let's go to my county. Watch this. So in Broward, the loan limit for FHA is 621,000 for a single family. But let's say, for example, you buy a duplex and you're living in one unit and you're renting out the other unit. Your loan limit can be as high as 795. So you could be buying a, let's say, $820,000. Let me see if that works. Yeah, $820,000 duplex, nice property, living on one side and renting out the other side. You could even go with a triplex. Now your loan limit is 960,000, or a fourplex, and your loan limit is almost 1.2 million. So these are some of the things with FHA that are very interesting because now we can use the other unit that's not being lived in. We can use the projected market rent as income to help offset the mortgage payment on paper. You don't have to actually make all of the income yourself to get qualified for the mortgage. You just need to be able to be qualified for the portion that you have to pay. Like for example, if you buy a fourplex and you could rent out 3 units for 2,500, 2,000, let's say $2,000 per unit. That's $6,000 in income right there that could be used to help to offset the mortgage payment, right? So that's one of the cool things about FHA is yes, you do have the mortgage insurance, but the trade-off is if you want to hold on to capital, you could put as low as 3.5% down, and then you could do something like this where you're living on one side and then you're renting out the other units. The key is you have to move into the property. It's not worth it to try and game the system. You have to move into the property. Okay. So when you use an FHA loan, this is a primary residence loan. So you have to move into the property. You have to live in the property. So if you're going to do it, you just want to make sure you're buying it in an area where you are willing to live and that you're going to be comfortable living in a property where you're going to be next door to your tenants. So that's the key. So just wanted to show you that for FHA because this does get pretty interesting now when you get a 6% concession. If you're in a market like I communicated with a few people in the state of Georgia, and they told me the market is starting to cool off up there. So if that's the case, then you're able to negotiate a little bit more. So when you're coming into a negotiation and you're able to negotiate a seller concession now, and you can execute a FHA loan and do a 3-2-1 buydown, you're positioning yourself, great. So let's say we go into Georgia and we're in a nice area in Georgia, and we're still, playing around at these price points. I'm not sure what the FHA loan limit is in Georgia. I mean, hey, let's check right now. Since we're on here, let's go to Georgia. Let's go to, I think, Fulton. That's a county. Let's see. Yeah, Fulton County. Here we go. Single family, 649, 750 loan limit. Duplex, 831. Triplex, 1.05. Fourplex, 1.249. Same thing. So you could, if you're in Fulton County, and you want to go with an FHA loan and you want to live in one unit and rent out the other units, you can execute this as well. If you can negotiate that seller concession and get anywhere from this 4.398 and up as to a maximum of 6%, then you can execute this 3-2-1 buy down and pick up a multi-unit property, live on one side or rent out the other side. So just wanted to share this information just to show that just because interest rates are high, it doesn't mean that you have to be subjected to those interest rates. There's always ways to figure things out. So if you're looking to purchase a property, just send me a message, reach out to me. I'll take a look at everything for you, and then we can see what kind of structure we could put together for you to see if we could make something like this happen.